Ready?
Non-24.
We're doing breaths? Nah, I don't even. I feel like I get too relaxed.
Just riff in. Let's go.
Hi guys, welcome back to this episode of Path of Purpose. We are here with the Brotherhood team, and just like you, we are walking on a journey to unlocking ways to live a life of purpose. Howdy team, welcome to this Bali bonus episode. I've been fortunate enough to stay alongside this absolute lord of a human, the Ferg Baker, and we've decided to spontaneously step onto the pod. We've got the camera here, we've got the Rode mics.
We're ready.
We're ready. How good. So thanks for jumping on, Ferg. Thanks for having me this last week and showing me around. A bit of background to Ferg and I. We met. This is our third time that we've sort of been in each other's company.
We broke that down this morning.
We did. Yeah, we realised.
It kind of shocked us a little bit.
It feels like a wild journey that we've been on.
Indeed.
In terms of like our brotherhood that we share, it seems like a relationship that has. Well, it feels like past lives or something that we've been a part of. I feel, at least anyway.
Oh mate, the feeling's mutual. I feel like it's one of those things where you meet someone and you feel like you've been mates with that bloke for half your lifetime.
100%.
Yeah.
And every time we just drop into each other's company, it's like
It's a pleasure.
kick straight back off where things left off. And yeah, our first ride was a car ride out for a Lululemon shoot, and we were in the car ride for an hour, and we just got to. It just resonated, hard. I'd love to give the people the opportunity to connect and get to know you a little bit. So, what is your name, age? What do you do, and why do you do it?
Thank you, brother. Firstly, pleasure for you to be here in my space, man.
Yeah.
It's been unreal spending some quality time up here in this playground we call Bali in the last week. My name's Ferg Baker. I am a trainer and a coach, and I live for adventure, I live for health, I live for the pursuit of evolution, and I would love to just spread as much of the knowledge that I've acquired on my journey with as many people as possible within the field of my expertise, which is fitness and everything that encompasses fitness and adventure. I have a background in outdoor recreation, so I love outdoor adventure sports, pursuing, challenging and confronting adventurous spaces. I believe the soul relishes in those environments, and that's what I live for. I live for adventure, I live for health, and I live for connection with aligned people that also share those values.
Yeah, beautiful. What is it that you do that is adventurous, that confronts those fears or those things that come up within you? What do you do to execute on that?
I would say possibly my favorite outdoor activity and passion in the outdoor space is in the sport of highlining, the extreme sport of highlining and slacklining. So, which is the practice of walking on a 1-inch piece of webbing or rope across any gap that is, high enough to be able to safely connect a line and establish a high line, as we call them. So probably been an 8-year, I'd say more roughly around 7-year endeavor for me since I first started it. And from the get-go, I knew that was the space that I wanted to pursue in the outdoor realm. So that has been a tremendous practice for me to help just discover elements of myself through the firstly just nature in general. I think is just an incredibly powerful space for anyone. I think we all could probably use a little bit more time in nature, but combining that with a practice that is confronting and incredibly challenging physically and of course mentally, I think just does wonders for our character development, our energy, our mindset, and our physical being, and our spiritual side as well, just connecting with ourselves a little bit more. So that has been a tremendously powerful practice for me to just discover a little bit more about myself and my character.
How did highlining find you? Because 8 years ago that it found you, and what was the time in your life where the line found you and you sort of took those first steps out on it?
Well, it started in school camp in year 10. one of the camp instructors pulled out a slackline in spare time, and that's a whole story in itself. It was this camp instructor's spare time too. We could throw a footy and go and muck around, play some board games, and that was the time for the staff to have a break as well. But one of the camp instructors pulled out a slackline in his own time just to show us boys something cool and new, and he showed me the ropes quite literally, and that was something I showed a lot of interest in. I got into it for a couple of years, and then put it in the closet for maybe 3 years, and it wasn't until I went through a pretty transformational period myself. Like we often all go through a bit of a wake up period, I guess you could say, where you get hit with a few doses of life. And I turned back to the slackline. I would go to the park and I would slackline, and that was a really incredible space for me to get away from the challenges I was facing at the time.
What were the challenges, if you don't mind?
Yeah, just my parents split up at the time. Moved out of our family home, which is a safe space for me. Dropped out of uni, wasn't very much clear on like what I wanted to do with my life. Came out of a relationship, so dealing with breakup emotions, etc. My dog passed away, so it was just lots of little things happened, and it was just like, wow, this is like pretty challenging and confronting. So I just turned to something that made me feel, I guess, separated from all of that. And I would take myself to the park multiple times a week and set up the slackline, and that was a little haven for me. Just down the line, I connected with one of my good mates, Joshy, and he invited me on a little trip to a festival, and I connected with some of the highliners at this festival that had been rigging highlines in Mulga Peaks National Park, West Brisbane, like inland Brisbane, and that was actually the second time I got on a highline, but that was the first time that I really felt truly connected to that sport, and it really came through for me that was something that was going to be life-changing for me. And that was kind of where it kicked off. That's where I started my pursuit. And it all stemmed from meeting the right people, being in the right place at the right time, things lining up. From that point on, I just connected with that highline community in Queensland and jumped on board. Got in touch with the community Facebook group, and they were going out a lot of maybe 2 or 3 weekends a month, and I would just go along and learn everything I could from them, and it just evolved from there. So it didn't really stop.
My first slacklining experience was with you, and
Integrated Essentials.
That was the first one, and I mean, for me, I haven't been much of a surfer, although people, I classify myself as a phony surfer because I've got the long hair and shit, but but I'm not a surfer, but not yet, should I say. But but there was something to that about getting up there, and it was quite competitive in the nature that it's like, I didn't want the slackline to beat me. So for those who are unaware or unsure what it is, it's just a small, tiny rope that you've got to manage to hoist yourself up onto, and then maintain balance on the thickness of something that might be 2 inches wide, maybe.
1 to 2 inches typically,
Yeah. And you've got to hold your balance and try and find. And this is what I was going to ask you, is what's the lessons that you've extracted from this practice? But for me, and just those moments of doing that, and then I went up to my brothers, and Georgia bought me a slackline for my birthday or Christmas or something, and so I put it up on between my brother's trees up at his place. And I just practiced it, and then finally got it.
It clicks.
And it clicked, and it was just for me, it was I've got to let go of every other thing that's going on around me and fully just be so present with this line. And just only solely focus on connecting and being with the sensation of what's going on underneath my feet. And after that experience, I went and got presence tattooed on my foot, because I just it reminded me for the lesson of the present moment is right where your feet are.
Took the words out of my mouth, man.
Oh, really? Yeah. This is So
presence.
Presence. That's what it is for you,
man. Yeah. That's cool that you got that tattooed, man, because it's so important, and that's the true essence of that practice. And it's something I wanted to say at the start was choose experiences over possessions because they last longer. And
love that.
I think the experiences, that experience for you so valuable. It's timeless. You'll never forget it.
Yeah.
And it was the same for me. First time I got on a slackline, we'll never forget it.
Yeah.
That is so valuable that will stay with me until I die.
Yeah.
And in terms of your question around the practice and the element of presence in the practice, it is such a tremendous analogy for life, the slackline. You know, I often use this analogy. It's an achievement to get from one side to the other without falling off. But the achievement isn't getting to the end of the line. The achievement is maintaining presence from start to finish, and the natural byproduct is from maintaining presence that you get to the end of the line.
Yeah.
So you're not celebrating the end goal, you're celebrating the presence and awareness.
Yeah,
of
it's
the
like
walk.
Don't focus on the destination, focus on the journey.
Absolutely. If you're pulled away and you start thinking about the end, particularly when you get close to the end, like, oh, I'm close, fuck it. And then you're drawn out of the moment, and that's when most people fall.
Yeah.
I had a friend who tried to cross the 770 meter high line in the Blue Mountains, and perhaps it was just being really tired, but he took the fall right before the end, and I've done the same thing, gone for a PB. We call it a send. You get from one side to the other.
Full send.
Full send, and I get pulled out of the moment, and I fall because I'm not there anymore. I'm not thinking about the next step. So that's a tremendous lesson that you can apply to your daily life.
Yeah.
If you often are thinking about the destination, you're not here anymore.
Yeah.
And it's interesting on the line will tell you straight away. If your mind's somewhere else, you get really tense, the line starts shaking. And as soon as you just consciously and intentionally switch your train of thought and awareness to the moment, you go, I'm just focusing on each step, each step. You know, I'm here, I'm feeling into my body, I'm aware, the line will calm, your body will loosen up, and you can just continue and enjoy the process of it.
So true.
So that's a really powerful lesson that I've taken away from it for sure.
Yeah, in rugby I can relate this to.
Yeah.
White line fever, right? When you're so close to scoring that try, and you'll knock it on, or you'll do something like that just out of desperation or something, or, you know. And that's when the errors occur. Yeah. Dude, I think that, you know, something else I've witnessed within you as well is within my time of knowing you is you've moved over here to Bali, and you on your Instagram bio you've got lifestyle, you've got fitness, lifestyle, and adventure, and I've watched as you've listed those three things, the embodiment of all those three things. You've created that within your life. And I know from people potentially looking on the outside, looking at him being like, wow, this guy's like, for me especially, it's like, wow, this guy's actually created this, you know? How important has it been for you in creating this lifestyle for yourself to you know, embody those things, or that belief of like, yeah, this is who I am, or those steps that you take to visualize that and become that?
How important it's been to embody that. Well, firstly, it's been a long journey to embody that and to discover that. I feel like it's been certainly a up and down ride, and there's still challenges all the time, you know. I think that having that expectation that it's never not going to be hard, it's a constant endeavor to live in alignment with your values and what you want to. Yeah, it's a constant endeavor to pursue like your values and what you believe to be your ideal lifestyle. And for me, it's constantly trying to remind myself of those things. I think nailing it down to those three things and going, okay, waking up every day and saying, okay, am I incorporating adventure into my life? You know, am I looking after my fitness? And under fitness is mind, body, and spirit. You know, and in terms of lifestyle, other things fall into that as well. You know, I want to obviously have flexibility. I want to have time for myself, but I also want to put time into my family. You know, the elements of my life that are really important. So that falls under lifestyle as well. So I feel like it takes a lot of courage to create the lifestyle that you feel pulled to and deserve.
Totally.
The type of lifestyle that you feel your intuition is calling for. A lot of the time we get, because I was studying at uni, you know, I wasn't adventuring as much. This was before slacklining and highlining, and I just felt so disconnected with myself, and just my intuition was just screaming at me to change things. And that, I think a lot of people can relate to that. It's just like this burning like voice in you just saying like, oh, you need to change, man. Like, you know, this isn't the lifestyle that you want. And it takes a lot of courage to go, well, fuck, I've studied for 4 years for this degree and I've got this job and I'm locked in, you know, and you know, I might get a pay rise next year. It's just like, oh, you know, I want to start a family. It's like, there's a lot of these things that can pull us away from honoring that. But when we do muster up the courage and bite the bullet and take the road less traveled, we usually always get rewarded for it.
Totally.
It's not going to be easy though. You might confront some hurdles along the way. You know, nothing good is, nothing really valuable is without challenge. But to answer your question, it has been incredibly important for me to constantly pursue that and embody that, because right now where I am, like if I had have chosen the other route, I guarantee you I would not be as happy as I am right now.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
For sure. What do you feel your purpose is on Earth then?
My purpose on Earth is to firstly live truly to myself and embody my values and what my intuition calls me towards. And the byproduct of that is that I will be in the best energy and self to make the most impact on others around me. And the impact that I want to have on people is in the field of fitness and adventure, and lifestyle as well. Naturally, when you incorporate those two elements into your life, that usually makes up a pretty darn good lifestyle. Yeah. So I want to encourage others and guide and help and coach others to help them discover what that looks like for them, and then give them the tools and the courage and the mindset to be able to embody that and experience that.
Totally. That leads into my next question. Like, what do you think is missing from, be it men or society as a whole these days?
Distraction. Lots of distraction, lots of influence from external stimulant. You know, media, family, friends, like friend groups that maybe have been around for a long time that you're, you know, involved in. That's molded your identity, and I feel like that is one of the biggest in that realm of distraction as well. Like you look at the news right now, it's just war and negativity and destruction and heartache and sadness. And if you allow yourself to get sucked into that, it will influence your lifestyle, it'll influence your health, and it will pull you out of alignment. So I think what's missing is encouragement towards thinking for yourself, and perhaps community and unity. There's a lot of division in the world right now. I think unity is missing a lot. And I think hats off to you for creating a space that encourages unity and provides unity and safety for a lot of men through your gym and through familyhood as well, for everyone. That is huge. We need way more spaces like that and platforms like that for people to turn to enjoy and utilize the power of unity and purpose towards, you know, the things that are good for us, like fitness and adventure, and connection and community.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah.
And I'd agree with that too. How I definitely think like the what you incorporate is there's so many pieces. So to overcome fear, you need courage. And adventure will bring you courage. Sure. I would say. So what is it that you walk through with guys that come to see you that ask for your help? Like what are the steps you walk them through to gain more courage? Is it and also that lives by your value of adventure?
Firstly, establish what it is that their intuition wants. Go inward, think, give yourself the space and the time to establish what you feel like your intuition wants to pull you towards, and establish values as well. What's important to you? What are the areas of your life that are really important, and what do you feel like you're missing? What is your soul? Because we all have that voice in our head that is intuitively saying, you need more of this. A lot of us, it can be scary confronting that and asking that because it seems so far away. It's just like, I don't really want to think about what I truly want right now because I'll feel sad and upset and let down if I feel like I can't acquire that. And that's just not true. Anyone can acquire anything. And so I would just break down those elements and then incorporate fitness, adventure, and the daily practices that will allow someone to start to believe that they can deserve those things and acquire those things and embody those values and elements of their character that are aligned with that. And that is a daily thing.
Yeah.
You know, we only have the day from the start to the end of the day. That's all we have. So the question is, what can we do in that time that is going to serve those areas? And to me, I think it's really important to keep things simple. So we're more likely to achieve that. So it's just waking up. It's putting all of those things on paper. It's giving yourself the time to go over those things, go over my values, go over what I want, what my intuition is guiding me towards, and the things that I feel like I need. Keeping that in the forefront of your mind, and then incorporating the practices. So visualization and embodiment. There's various ways that you can do that. Everyone's different. Showing up for your health. So fitness, physical health, showing up to the gym, knowing what you're doing in the gym as well so that you obviously don't injure yourself or, hold yourself back from, make it so challenging that you don't want to go. Like it's about creating the right environment for yourself to pursue your fitness and enjoy your fitness and enjoy the pursuit of your health and not make it so challenging and daunting that you don't stick to it. Because consistency is very key. Making it rewarding and gamifying your training is really key as well. And it really helps when you are training with other people that motivate you as well. So, and then it's things like sleep, nutrition, all of these things tie into how we feel as well. And the most important element as well is finding community. So helping people find communities around their area, wherever they live, where they can go and involve themselves in community events like Brotherhood, for example, your gym, where you are meeting like-minded people and people that are going to encourage you to stay true to those values and to those areas that you want to improve on and embody more. And with regards to adventure, it's just about asking what are some things that you've wanted to do in your life. Skydiving is an example. A lot of people say, I've always wanted to go skydiving, but I've just never got around to it. I don't want to do it. It's scary. Like, it's pretty hectic. It's just about saying, cool, man. On this weekend, we're booking it in. Yeah. I'm going to help you out. I'm going to call up. I'm going to say, look, I've got someone who wants to come in and do the skydive. We're booking it in. We're locking it in. That's the date. And we're going to work towards that. And we're going to work on the things that are limiting you mentally towards that experience. And we're going to prepare for that experience, and we're going to have that experience, and that's going to be a huge breakthrough. Yeah. So that's a good example in the adventure department. So you've got three little elements there. You've got yourself and your values. You've got your health and your fitness, and you've got your adventure and the things that you want to do. It doesn't have to be a crazy outdoor adventure as well. Some people want to learn an instrument. Some people want to write a book. Some people want to get into a new job. Some people want to do something that they've always felt like they've wanted to do, but they've been held back by fear. It's just about having someone in your ear just saying, like, look, man, you can do this. I'm going to help you get there. We'll book it in, lock it in, prepare for it, and then we'll execute and we'll enjoy it. And we'll have that experience. We'll make that experience happen.
Yeah, that's so good. Hey, that accountability to actually do it. And I think that's half the thing is like, people just need someone to be like, they need someone to be like, yeah, you're doing this thing and I'm holding you accountable to doing that. Yeah. And yeah, within all of that model there, and how important is the purpose piece to,
Massively.
Like to, with your career, and because it's all very well and good doing all these things, but we do operate on money. We need money to be able to go do the skydive. So, how do you help people in that area, or is that not exactly what you...
Oh, money, absolutely. Yeah. Well, this is the thing, like and this is for me as well and myself, I'm going to be more financially abundant when I feel more abundant in myself. So all of these things tie into your career as well.
Yep.
So if you feel like you're lacking a little bit in your career, usually it's because you're lacking in your sense of self-worth and confidence, and motivation, consistency, all of these things that help you elevate in your career or your journey and pursuit of something that results in financial reward. And if we show up for those things, like if we're feeling physically fit, we feel more energized. If we're pursuing adventurous spaces that confront us and challenge us, that will bring out our confidence and our courage, which will help us. You know, once I started highlining, I've gone and done something challenging. You know, I've tackled that regardless of how fearful and how fear-inducing and challenging it was. And then I can go, I can go in for that job interview. I can start an online business. I can walk on a freaking tightrope. I can go skydiving. I can go and do that challenging thing. And therefore I am confident and capable of going and pursuing something that will result in more financial freedom.
I can summarize that a bit of myself. I think it's brilliant. The distraction that you said is like the missing, you know, like what's leading to the pinpoint of, you know, what's leading to us missing the elements of life or the missing piece. You're saying the phone and stuff like this. Is that taking us away from adventure, or is that what you believe to be missing from? Yeah, it's missing from society. Is the adventure element as well, or?
I think it's much easier now to expend our dopamine resources, our dopamine source and tank in the brain. So it's so easy to just pick up our phone and just get instant reward.
Yeah.
That pulls us away from, so I asked ChatGPT, how much time will I spend on my phone if I spend if I spend 5 hours on my phone or a screen a day from now being 30 to 100 years old, and it was 18 years. 18 years of my life if I spend 5 hours of my day on a screen.
Wow.
From now until 100. So I'm 30 now, so 70 years.
Yeah.
So am I going to spend close to 20 years of my life? Like, imagine how much you can fit in that time.
25% of your life span left.
You know, of course it's important to get behind a screen. You know, social media is a big part of my business. But bringing that down means that you open up time and space for those sorts of things, for your family, for adventure, for self-development, for the pursuit of activities that are real sources of dopamine and fulfillment. So I think distraction is incredibly, limiting and crippling. The question, the answer to how do we eliminate distraction or mitigate distraction? Challenging, very challenging. For me, it's in the morning, and everyone's heard this, don't look at your phone straight away in the morning. If you take the time to look at those passages that I explained before, my values, who am I, what is aligned with me, what isn't. When you have that thought at the forefront of your mind before you go about the day, it's going to reduce your chance of subconsciously picking up your phone, because that thought is then more prone to drop in when you do pick up your phone. So if that is an element, in my programming with my clients, I focus a lot on habits and incorporating powerful and healthy habits into our routine that are aligned with all those things. And reminding ourselves of how important it is, those points, like that fact where it's like 20 years of your life almost if you spend 5 hours on your phone a day. It's just like that. It's like, okay, like I know that's there. I also know that scrolling on social media is going to take away from X, Y, Z. I've set the intention to put my phone aside unless I need it for work or practices that are intentional. And you're just more likely to put it aside when you are more clear on who you are.
For sure.
Yeah.
I've noticed that as well. Being over here is you'll have work to do, but your value of family, friends, and connection, like those things supersede the feeling of I need to do this thing, I need to work or something like this. And I think it's through your ability to recognize that your cup being more full and overflowing through your higher values allows you to pour back into your work, like with that creative essence, and to deliver more to your clients and stuff like this too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's something I've recognized in you as well, and that's certainly for me being here. It's been like I'm accommodating you, and it's so rare because for myself it's making me realize when I go back, it's like, how can I be more present with people and accommodate them when they are trying to have an experience, and that's what you see, experiences over possessions. I think it's so good, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it's surrounding yourself with people that are going to hold you accountable to your best self is a huge hack. That's why people hire coaches, because they are that extra voice, that angel in the shoulder saying, hey, don't do that. And that really helps, and you can get that through your friendships as well, like we've been in that space for each other this week. That's the power of that. So that's definitely an important hack as well.
Yeah, it's beauty. What do you perceive to be the greatest problem in the world at the moment?
Division.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The opposite of unity.
The opposite of unity.
Yeah.
Division is, enough said. It's
You've said it
not,
through distraction.
Yeah, it's not conducive to anyone or anything. So, first step is awareness around that. Judgment falls under division as well. Understanding that an individual perhaps has had a completely different upbringing to you. Completely different life experience. For all you know, they've been abused as a child and had a really rough time growing up. It's only taking away from you and your energy by judging that person. Of course, within reason. Like someone does something very terrible, you don't want to be an advocate of that. You cannot agree with that. But when it comes to just the everyday person, I think that we can find a lot more in common than we feel like we allow. We're all human beings. We're all, a part of this one space. Everyone talks about, oh, you're American, you're Australian, you're from New Zealand. It's just like, no, we're all from the same place, man.
Totally.
It's like,
yeah.
And I also think it's really important to be aware that the elites want division as well, because that breeds distraction and that helps with control. The power of people being in unity is not within their best interest a lot of the time. It's really important to be aware of that.
For sure, man. Yeah, there's far more power when you're banded together rather than trying to tackle everything alone.
You're also just so much more capable of achieving what you want to achieve and making an impact and living your best life and feeling your best when you are in unity with people that are going to hold you accountable to yourself and people that are going to bring the best out in you.
For sure, man. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. If you could give the world one ingredient or antidote that would alleviate this problem, what would you give them?
Prioritize finding spaces that are full of the things that your soul and intuition is calling for. If you're a man that is a little bit disconnected from himself, a little bit unsure and uncertain as to how his future is going to unfold, feels like he's missing something, go to Brotherhood. Come to me, reach out to me, go on Facebook, find a community group of people that you feel like are aligned with you. And this goes for women as well. I just used the man as an example because you run your men's community centre and gym in the Gold Coast. This goes for anyone. The antidote is connection and unity. And prioritize. It's okay if you step outside of your comfortable circle of friends. Go and find a community group somewhere that does something that your soul and intuition calls for.
Beautiful, man. When in terms of you are an online coach, and how do you bring the essence of community and unity to? Is it just you one-on-one being that mate there for that person, or do you have something where like-minded people can connect that are on your programs and stuff?
I help them find communities in their area, wherever they live, that fills that gap.
Yeah.
So I'll go online and I'll ask my client, what is
Your passions.
What is your passion? What are your interests? What do you feel pulled towards? What do you feel called for? And I'll find and strategize and work with him on what we feel like would be like a good space for him to immerse in. You know, that might be finding a slackline group. That might be finding a group of rock climbers. You know, that might be finding just a hiking group. You know, it might just be going to a breathwork event or like a men's circle, for example. Those spaces are incredibly powerful. You know, like a lot of men find it really hard to communicate and talk about the shit they're going through. So going to a space like Brotherhood, for example, like if I had a client in the Gold Coast, man, I'd send him straight to you.
Yeah.
And because firstly, I know you, but I know that space will bring him value and connection and relationships that are going to really help him become more alive and more within himself. So that's a strong element of the programming that I do and the coaching that I do as well.
Yeah, love that. And yeah, that's something I love about you as well is I feel like you certainly embody I will give more than I ever expect to receive. There's been a few occasions where you know, you've poured me a drink or something like that, and then I've noticed one cup is slightly bigger and you'll give me that cup. And then at dinner or something when it's like, you know, that last slice or something's there and it's like, oh, here you go, bro, you know, or you know, and that's such a, you know, tribute to who you are and what I see in you as well. And so I think that's, you know, you and the fact of saying, oh, here's my client, but I'm giving him to you. And I think that's something that you understand would be that law of reciprocity. It's like, I will continue to give because I know that I don't expect to receive back, but I know karmically out there in the field of the universal truths that I will receive in return, you know.
It's the law of nature, man.
The law of nature, yeah. How has that experience come forth for you in your lifetime?
Well, yeah, firstly, I feel like we can't make it through this life on our own. And it ties into that. Anyone who's spent enough time on their own realizes how lonely it can be. We need other people. Other people need us. We are pack mentality creatures, and that is wired into our DNA. So when we live in accordance with nature, nature will reciprocate naturally. And that is one of the key pillars of being human, is to work together. Evolution does not exist without unity. Ties into unity as well. My dad instilled that in me and both my parents, actually. My mum is certainly one of the most giving and generous, loving individuals. Very, very lucky to be blessed with parents that instilled those qualities in me. And my dad is the first person to take his shirt off his back for anyone. He's ex-military captain in the Australian infantry, so he's got that leadership mentality that, you know, I'll step up. You know, very integral individual in character. You know, he'll do what's right and he'll do what's honourable above himself. He'll put others first, and that's something that I think I've just naturally taken on, and that has served me very well because when you give and you give and you give, as you said, you don't expect to return, but it will always come back around. But it actually ties into wanting to give and finding the satisfaction in giving. You know, it's like you don't give. So okay, I'm gonna give to this person, and maybe it'll come back around to me. It's like that attitude you actually won't receive from that. You know, nature won't allow that. It's almost like it's out of the code.
Yeah.
You know, you actually have to want to give and understand what giving means behind what giving means, you know, and what it means to be human. You know, it ties into that. So,
Wouldn't an interesting thing to probably go out and become aware of is like, am I giving out of my innate, or not even innate, because maybe it's something that you've got to develop over time to, or do I actually want to, like, is my giving coming with a positive vibration of like love, or is this coming from a feeling of, oh, this is the morally right thing to do, like I've got to do that, you know, like, oh, yeah, there's the last piece, bro, yeah, you have it, you know, and that's almost like passing on like a vibrational energy of kind of somewhat guilt or something, like, and that will be received by that other person probably as well. So to become so aware of what you're giving and the energy that's coming with it is very important too.
The energy that's coming with it is a key point there, man. Yeah. Because like someone can pick up, like if you give to someone and you don't really want to give it to someone, but you're doing it because it's good, that person will be like, oh no, you sure? Like, no, you have it. No. Like,
yeah, now they don't want to receive on that. Yeah.
But it's man, it's amazing. Like how much, like with us, for example, in the last week, it's just like, no, man, you have this. And then you'll say like, oh, bro, yesterday you did that for me, so like you have this. And it's just been this constant back and forth for the whole time you've been here.
Yeah.
And I guarantee it would have been so different if one of us was a little bit more scarce-minded.
Yeah.
And a little bit more like, oh, no, man, like, you know. And then you find yourself actually just going off and doing your own thing, you know, where it's like, if you do embody that like giving mentality where it's like what's mine is yours and yours is mine within good reason, then you know you're unified, tied back into unity. You know, we're all in this together.
Yeah,
and we're all one. You know, as like as hippie as that sounds, it's like we're all one, man. It's like it's just true, bro. Like, you know, we're all.
You follow evolution back far enough. We all came from that same cell, hey?
Yeah, and we couldn't have got here without not working together and sharing and giving to one another. Totally. So it's just, simply just what it means to be human. It's just a part of being human.
100%. I love what you said as well about that not giving and tying that to a scarce sort of mindset, you know? It's like, so what's the other thing? It's like, oh, so giving is abundant.
Yeah.
Like, I am abundant to give. Yeah. Like, and that means if I am wanting to attract more abundance in my life, then the more I give away. You know, and it's just it's possibly a hard sort of lesson to learn along the way.
Oh, it is, yeah.
If you haven't been brought up around it, or if it hasn't been trained, or you haven't been aware of it. So there's a little tip that people can walk away with from this for sure.
It also ties into experiences over possessions. You know, they last longer. So you giving, that is a possession. It's not going to last. A piece of food, it's not going to last. You know, but giving to that person and enjoying that experience of like, that was nice. Like, I want to see you satisfied. I want to see you feeling good. You know, like that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
You know, like, that is an experience, and that's going to last longer and have a greater impact and effect than just the satisfaction of eating the food. You know, you spoke about it the other day, like when we were at dinner. You know, it's just like, imagine if you didn't want to give that last piece to someone, and you knew that you were like, I kind of want to give it, but I also really want the last bite. You know, it's so delicious. So you're like, okay, I'm gonna have the last bite, and then you eat it. It's not gonna taste as good, man.
Nah, dude.
You know, and you swallow it, and you're like,
you've got guilt in that swallow, bro. You got guilt in that swallow for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't go down like it did on the first bite.
And people remember you by your experiences that you've shared with them.
Yeah. That breeds more opportunity, man.
Yeah.
You know, you never know. You give to the right person. That person will come around and might be holding an opportunity that could completely change your life.
For sure, man.
And, man, is that worth that last piece of cake?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, it is.
You want to keep those doors open.
Yeah.
Keep those opportunities open for sure. Like someone to walk in and offer that, give that out of reciprocity.
Yeah. Every now and then you might get someone that comes along that takes. And it's important to realize that that's just a representation of them that is like they perhaps haven't worked on, and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to just like let that slide.
Yeah, for
you know?
sure.
But
Yeah.
but you keep giving, and the right person will give back to you. And you don't do it for that, but it's just a natural byproduct of it.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love your mentality around that. I'd love to dive in. I know you prepared some questions or some quotes that you've mulled over in your self-development journey.
Let's do it.
In becoming who you are.
So these are just some things that I've jotted down that I think we could just touch on. Maybe spend a few minutes on each one.
Let's do it.
So the first one is show up for it, whether you feel like it or not. And I wanted to hear your take on that. We can just have a couple of minutes discussing that.
Yeah, this is an interesting one, right? Because this is like in the build of discipline and integrity, and I think it's important for people to know that you can be depended on in the sense of he booked, he'll show.
Yeah.
He gave his word that he's committed, he will show.
Yeah.
And that builds trust. So for sure, I think if you've said that you are going to show, you show. I think that's important. There's also the moments where you knowing that it's so difficult, isn't it? Because it's like the sleep component of not being in your best self and how that might put you out of an opportunity later on because you're a bit tired and your brain's not functioning correctly. So I think if you are needing to learn discipline, then maybe, show up regardless of how you feel, because you're still needing to learn to build that internal dialogue with yourself and that internal trust that you will be there. And I mean, I know that, and when it comes to relationships, I think definitely you got to show up for that, right?
Yeah.
Like you've got to show up for that person.
Huge.
But yeah, what's your experience with it?
We all have that voice that talks us into doing things that we shouldn't do. And we have that voice that tells us what we should do. And training, great example. Show up for it whether you feel like it or not. I think that as an example, it really helps having clear goals, and it really helps having a plan. Of course, it helps having a space like a gym to go to that you book into, or a coach to keep you accountable. So creating those elements of that thing that you need to show up for will definitely help with show up rate.
Yeah.
But then it could also, the element, whether you feel like it or not, you could wake up feeling so off it, regardless of all of those things. You've got your program, you've got your goals, you've got your coach or your gym or your trainer. You've got everything sorted out, but you do not feel like getting out of bed. It's cold, it's wet. I don't want to go to the gym. I think there's a few things that really help. Putting yourself at the end of the workout and where you're going to be there at that exact time. Let's say it's 9 a.m. after your workout. Imagine yourself in the future at 9 a.m. if you had have done the workout versus if you hadn't done the workout. How are you going to feel?
So good.
Shit, if you don't go.
That's like a visualization, and that's you embodying the feeling of the future moment. Yeah.
And I think
bring that into the present.
Yeah, I think the book, The 5-Second Rule, is really powerful as well.
Oh, Mel Robbins.
Yeah. 5, 4, 3, fuck it, I'm going.
Yeah.
That really helps. Yeah. Alrighty. Excellence isn't a skill, it's an attitude. Embodiment. So tying into your identity. So excellence isn't a skill, it's an attitude.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. I think everything, and that's like I just read the 4 Agreements by, I can't even remember his name now, Dion or something, but he, one of the agreements is, the 4th agreement is always do your best. And I think that is living in excellence. It's like excellence is your own personal knowing that whatever you're doing is your best.
Yeah.
And so long as you show up in that intention each and every time, I will deliver my best, which is my excellence, then that's living in accordance to your truth, and that's showing up for yourself and the universe and the greater picture. And when the universe sees you doing that, it's going to reward you. It's gonna deliver more opportunities. It's going to open more doors. Yeah. How do you feel on that one?
Yeah, well said. Well, I feel like perhaps a part of you doesn't feel like you are in your excellence right now, or you are excellent, or you are capable or confident. And I think even if you don't feel like that, tricking your brain and embodying that, regardless of whether you feel like it or not, like you're playing a character, is so powerful. You know, so you walk into the gym, it's just like, I am going to own this workout.
Yep.
I am fit.
Yep.
I am strong. I am capable. I am athletic. I am confident. You know? Embodying that character, you know, as if you're an actor.
You've got to,
in a movie.
Yeah, you've got to tell yourself, you've got to send yourself positive affirmations, hey?
Yeah.
And
embody those.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And there's also the other side of that, which I don't necessarily agree with, which is the fake it till you make it thing. But I think it's coming from the fake it till you make it is always like kind of like lying to others. Prefer to lying to yourself. It's not lying as much as like, oh, I'm feeding myself positivity because I know that there will compound over time. So that's where I can see the difference between those two, because something I certainly don't want to have people do is like that fake it till you make it attitude, where it's like breeding inauthenticity. It's like, you know, maybe where it's lying, where it's like, oh yeah, bro, yeah, I make $1,000 a week.
Yeah, I think
like,
that's where it gets like a little bit confusing and a little bit out of touch.
Yeah.
I think it's a fine line between, as you said, like delusion and embodiment.
Yeah.
But I would say, like, let's say for me, for example, like while I was going through that period, I didn't think I was capable. I didn't think I was confident. I didn't think I was a lot of things, but I was. It was just my brain tricking me into believing that I wasn't.
Yeah.
And I think it takes putting yourself in your best character. So let's say you write down on a piece of paper like the character that you want to become.
So is that the future self?
Future self. But the reality is that's what your intuition feels you are. Therefore, that is your authentic self. Right now, in that state, negativity, that actually isn't you authentically. You know, that is actually you outside of yourself.
Yep.
So embodying your true character that you feel you are, you know, you have integrity, you have confidence, you have commitment, and you're consistent, you know, you're XYZ. Imagine if you're an actor and you got that character, you know, and you had to play that character in the gym session that you go into. You know, it's just like you got cameras on you, you're playing that character in that gym. Play with that.
Yeah.
Play with that a bit. Because, you know, there's a difference between that and saying, oh, I'm a billionaire, you know, and you walk in there and like you're wearing, you know, maybe you walk into an environment, you're wearing a suit and you're, you know, flashing XYZ, like that's different, you know. I feel like you need to find the fine line with it. But I think I would encourage people to play with that acting, you know, element, because like you can, it's just like training. You're exposing yourself to, like, you can walk into a gym and you're not fit, you know, and it's going to be challenging, you know, but you're going to build that muscle, you know. You're going to build the conditioning. It's that. It's like taking it into training, you know. It's like doing something that doesn't really feel natural, but you're stepping into a stronger version of yourself and more aligned with yourself.
Love that. Yeah. I think even the future self, or even, you know, and you could go to that highest version of yourself at whatever age that is, and that may be enough of a motivating factor to compel you to embody those feelings of like what that person was like. It's like, if I'm that person in the future, would I be doing these things now of like self-sabotage?
And
that's
very healthy.
Dropping back into the little boy even maybe, and being like, man, my 7, you know, when I was 7 or something, I was picturing myself, you know, and I was pedestaling this version of myself, or like looking to my not my peers, but like those people that inspired me, and would am I heading in that trajectory, or, and that could be moving away from pain maybe. So there's also those motivating factors of moving away from pain or moving towards pleasure, and maybe defining what is ultimately going to pull you out of the rut or that place of lack of personal power in the moment to what's actually going to pull you forward as more powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just reminding yourself of that as much as you can each day, and practicing that when you enter new spaces. Another thing is I try to say to myself a lot is like, take a moment. It's an element of the app Waking Up, Sam Harris's meditation app.
Oh yeah,
really, really good. I can give a free month to anyone as a member. So hit me up, give you a free month. Awesome. Really, really good app. And he talks a lot about taking a moment. It's just like, okay, you're about to walk into the gym, or you're about to walk into work, or you're about to walk into X, Y, Z.
New space.
Take a moment.
Ground yourself.
Ground yourself. Set a little intention. It's just like, what am I going to embody going into this? Maybe it's just a conversation with your partner. Maybe it's just something even just before a meal. Take a moment. That really helps. Here's a good one. The one who this is a very famous quote. Lots of people heard it. The one who loves running will run further than the one who loves the destination. The true purpose and joy of life is the constant pursuit of evolution. Enjoy the process. That ties back into the slacklining chat we had at the start.
That's I agree.
Yeah.
It's
so, just wanted to hear your.
Yeah, in moments or. That's and it ties back to that present moment that you were just saying, like, take a breath, be in the moment, because, there's the thing about having the goal and being unattached to achieving it, or being unattached to the things within the journey to achieving that. For me, I like in the growth and the evolution of brotherhood, it's kind of just been like, oh yeah, we'll scale this to globally. That's always been the intention. It's like, yeah, more people need this. Like, I want to get this as many people as possible.
Yeah.
And so the journey has just been whatever's come in between. It's like left it so open. It's left it so, such a broad spectrum of what could occur in between that would allow that to occur. And it's like, yeah, I still hold that intention. Like, I still hold that goal, that vision. And so long as that vision's there, then I'm kind of unattached to what occurs within in between, which does just leave me in the present moment.
Yeah.
There's often times where it's like, oh man, I thought we would be here right now, or I thought we would have achieved X by now.
Yeah.
And then in those moments, they're nice to reflect upon as well, because it's like, okay, well, what could we be doing better? And and then that usually brings me my next goal to focus on. Okay, well, let's do that then. So, but it doesn't leave, and there's moments where it sucks. Like, there's moments where it's like, oh, geez, always.
Yeah.
But you need to feel those emotions in order to take action to change your state. So it's all a part of, there was something I wrote on that chick's thing today, and that was everything is progress.
Yeah.
Regardless of what emotion you're feeling, it's all progressive. It's all to move forward.
That's a great perspective, isn't it? It ties into the next question I was going to say is, we'll touch on it in a second, but yeah, those little moments, man, like where you're experiencing challenge, attitude and perspective towards that can be a game changer. The amount of things that have happened to me that in the moment I perceived to be bad and misfortune that actually turned out to be the best moments and lessons that have led to relationships like I have with you, with my partner, with all of my friends, experiences and opportunities, me being here in Bali, like all of that is tied to those challenging moments that I shared at the start of this podcast.
Yeah.
All of it. Wouldn't be here, wouldn't be who I am, wouldn't have highlining, wouldn't have most of the relationships that I have in my life right now. All ties back to that. So in the moment, it's, okay, this is challenging, but this isn't happening to me, this is happening for me. So therefore, I'm going to search for the value, because this has been given to me by nature and by fate there's juicy little gold nugget in here somewhere, and you start looking for it. You know, you're in it. It sucks. It's challenging. It's fearful. It's a little bit sometimes degrading. It's like confusing, and you know, things didn't go out the way I planned. Like, what's going on? No, there's something there for you, man. There's something in that. Search for it.
Such a great, 100%. How does it takes a strong mindset for someone in the pits of hell, in their darkest days, to see somewhere within all of this turmoil, within all of this happening to me, to convert it to, oh no, something's happening for me.
Yeah.
And what do you think that is? Like how
Great
does,
question, man.
Yeah.
Because I was one
Everyone
of those
speaks
people.
on it.
I was one of those people.
Yeah.
That was like, I'm just gonna exist now. I don't see myself crawling out of this. You know, I'm just gonna put my clown face on and just be happy and you know, for
Pretend.
my friends and family.
Fake it.
But yeah.
Mask it.
Yeah. But it was, I was lucky. But for example, dropping out of uni, I just felt like the biggest loser. It's just like everyone else is studying. Everyone else is doing something with their life. I'm doing nothing, like mowing lawns, you know. That led me down, you know, came out of the relationship, pretty broken from that. That's when I went into the gym. Fell in love with training, and that was my solace for a lot of the time. And at the time as well, slacklining. So that was what led me down the educational. I got injuries in the gym as well. Misfortune in the moment. Going to the gym was the first step towards where I am now as a trainer. Having the injuries, I wanted to understand the body better. Had no intention of being a trainer, but that's why I got my qualifications, because I wanted to study the body and learn about the body. Natural byproduct for that, personal training. I met the guy that took me to that highlining festival at the gym, that gym that I first trained at, and one of my other best mates, Jolie, there as well, who I was his best man at his wedding. He's coming up to Bali in a couple of weeks. That wouldn't have happened if I hadn't have gone through that relationship or dropped out of uni or felt super lost.
Yep.
You know, wouldn't have picked up the slack line out of the cupboard and dust the cobwebs off and found highlining. You know, all of those misfortunes has had a cascade effect on my life for the better. And they were the darkest days of my life.
Yeah.
Food stopped tasting good. Colors weren't as vibrant. I was fucking bland, man. And now I am vibrant and alive, all because of that.
Yeah.
So
now that's a testament to your character now as well. Like that you have forged yourself through persevering or through faith of believing that. Yeah. How did
that's the key. Yeah.
Faith.
So to answer your question, like, how do you get out of that? Like, how does someone click into that? I just had a little tiny piece of like positivity in my mind. It was like 5% of my mind was just like, hold on, man. Like, it's going to work out. Like, just have faith. And so I just held on to that little bit.
Where did you find your faith, or who did you devote it to, or what?
It was just...
Was it anything outside of yourself, or...?
Honestly, it was like, this is where I found, you know, I'm not religious. Like, I don't really particularly believe in anything particular, but I guess I am like, the only reason I'm spiritual is not because of other people educating me on spirituality. It was because I felt this like I guess presence, you know, voice that was outside of me that was saying like, hold on, man.
Yeah.
You know,
wow.
You know, and that was like, I just kind of held on to that, and little things just started to improve as I held on to that faith. But having said that, I still went, and like that voice was telling me to do things, and I was mustering up the courage to do them. You know, even, I guess I just released all expectation. Like I felt like I already had nothing left to lose. I think that's really powerful as well. Someone who feels like they have nothing or nothing left to lose, like you can only go uphill from there.
You've only got everything to gain.
Exactly. So I did go and do my PT qualifications. I actually didn't end up. I didn't finish them, and then
What job were you working at the time? Were you mowing lawns?
Yeah, I was just doing landscaping. Yeah. And I did the practical element. I did a couple of modules. I had 30 modules to do, and then I went away and like I was still mowing lawns, and this voice, that same voice that was like, hold on, man, like you're good, but you got to go back and finish those qualifications. It's like, fuck, all right. So I knuckled down behind my computer. I actually paid for the course again to keep me accountable to going in and doing the modules. And I went into, did the practical element again. Like this is like maybe 5 months after I'd finished the practical element. I paid another, I think it was like $1,500 to do the practical again for like a month. And I would do the modules, and I got it done. And that voice was like, "You got to do that, man." And that opened that door for the PT, and the highlining as well. That voice was also saying, "Oh, man, like you got to pursue this. You got to get out there and do this." When I met those guys at the festival, like I'd actually met them the year before when I tried my first highline, and that was a whole story in itself. But shattered my expectation of highlining the first time I tried it because it was so confronting and scary, and I didn't do it for a year leading up to meeting those guys again at the festival. But they were like, "Man, you got to come next weekend. We've set the highlines up again. Come out and give it another crack." And that voice went off again. It was like, "You got to be there, man." And I'd been slacklining all year, and I went up there and I got up and I walked like most of the way across the line that I tried a year before, and like the year before I'd got up and stood up and shaking like, fuck, this is so intense, like terrifying, crawled off the line, didn't have another go for a whole year.
Wow.
And then, and then I got up and, fell off, went through the process and walked across and like just cried. I was just like, holy shit, that's a crazy moment, man. Like never forget that. That's like, that was when it was like, it was like so rewarding. That voice was like, there you go, bro.
Yeah.
Drink that in.
that was the recognition of like, almost like, oh, I'm free. I can only imagine, like, it's like you went through all this darkness.
Oh, it was still there, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, like it was still very prominent, like with regards to like career, where I was in my life, relationships, worthiness of relationships and of success.
Shit.
I was still terrified and negative about highlining as well. Like every time there was a highline trip, like that voice was just like, go, bro, like just go and do it. And I would just do it, and I would shit myself days leading into it, and then crawling out on the line. I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing out here?
How long were you in this this darkness for? Like, do you recall the moment or the time in your life, the period where you're actually like free from it?
Oh man, it was like a slow burn over time.
How long?
Well, I would say like I was, I kind of went down over like the course of like a year, and then I was probably, down there for like maybe a good like maybe 6 months to a year as well, and then it just sort of started to like creep up through those experiences.
Yeah.
Another voice told
Gradual.
me to, another
you
voice,
don't just skyrocket.
Man, you don't wake up and you feel good.
Fuck, it's fixed.
No, it's not how it goes.
It's not natural.
That's not how evolution works.
Yeah. Can I ask this as well? At any point, did you ever turn to antidepressants or anything like this?
I had ADHD medication.
Yeah.
Which is like a whole nother topic, ADHD. That's a hot topic for sure. But that was in itself a bit of an antidepressant, because when you are depressed, like your brain waves are all out of whack, and like how ADHD medication works is that it aligns your brain waves while your brain is on the stimulant. So I would find myself, balancing those brain waves a little bit.
Yeah.
They're kind of like this, like when I'm on the stimulant, but when I'm off, I'm up, down, up, down, up, down.
Right. Yeah.
So that honestly like did help me in some situations. Like I had a lot of social anxiety at the time, so that helped me get through some social situations, helped me get through a little bit of my study. But honestly, like the dips, because you feel fine when you're on them, and then you come off the stimulant and you're just like, why can't I operate the way I just was 2 hours ago?
Yeah, right.
You just crash so hard, bro. And
so what would you recommend, like, if you were to have your time again and in your recovery? How would you go about it differently at all?
Man, like, be super easy and soft on yourself. Like, you can't move mountains when there's a mountain on top of you. It's like you just have to give yourself the space and the time. Don't give a fuck about what anyone else is doing around you. Like, your mates are at uni studying to be lawyers and doctors. Like, who cares? Like, they're on their own path and their own journey.
Yeah. The comparison.
You have to have so much, like, just compassion for yourself, man. And I guess it also just ties back into a point that I wanted to talk about is like, you are your own best friend. No one knows more about you than you. No one's been with you longer than you have with yourself in terms of friendships, relationships. Like you're with yourself 24/7. You know, think about your best mate. You know, how much time have you spent with them? You know, accumulated.
Yeah.
A fraction of how much time you spent with yourself.
For sure.
You know, like when your mate's having a cry, you give them a hug. Like, you know, you gotta give yourself that love. You know, you gotta imagine yourself like, if my mate came to me and was like, "Oh, bro, I'm like going through the ruts right now. I'm really feeling it. You know, like I want some support." You know, are you gonna say, "Yeah, you deserve that, man. Like you're not worthy of that. You know, like you're not worthy of feeling better. Like you're not good enough. Actually, you know, you're actually a piece of shit." Like, fuck, no, you're not gonna say that, bro. You're gonna be like, you're gonna tell your mate who he is.
Yeah.
And you're gonna put your arm around him. And you're like, "Bro, I got you."
Yeah.
You know, like I'm with you. And he's shown up for you X amount of times. You've shown up for yourself.
Yeah.
Bro, like we got to give ourselves so much more credit than we do.
Yeah, for sure.
We talk to ourselves every day, just like we would at our mates.
Yeah.
You know, communicate with yourself and show yourself the compassion, and give yourself the truth that you would give to your best mate.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like that really helped me. That came through for me pretty strongly, like on a little solo camping trip, spending some time with myself like years ago. That was a big breakthrough moment. So yeah, just using that perspective is huge, but forcing yourself into environments that are going to help you work through those blockages and barriers, and not having an expectation that it will, you know, change overnight.
Yeah.
That's really huge if someone is in like a really dark, deep place and find something and show up for it, whether you feel like it or not. That's really hard. It takes a lot of courage. We've all got that little voice saying like, you should be doing this. Just try it with one thing. You don't have to think 10 years down the line. You don't have to think about all the things that you could be doing or should be doing. One thing. You know, whether that's, if you haven't been training for a while, go and do one training session and use every ounce of your energy to show up for that session. You know, and for God's sake, man, like boys, like use other men to like that you know are going to help you out, like to help you. Like you understand that, man. Like you've got a men's space. Like we need that so badly as dudes. Girls are really good at it.
Yeah,
girls
totally.
going through the shit, they'll call their girlfriend and they will like see it on girls' Instagram post. They make a post and like all their mates are commenting like, "You look beautiful." Like they're so good at it, man.
Yeah.
Guys are just like, "No, it's gay."
Yeah, totally. Just like shun it and
we'd probably take the piss instead.
Totally.
You know, like. I think there needs to be a healthy balance of like throwing chat, but also like affirming to your mates like who they are.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's huge as well. Like there's every inch of 95% of you might not want to go and do what you know you feel is good for you, but you have to just muster up every last part of yourself to get yourself on that high line into the gym, you know, into that community group, you know. And you need to treat yourself like your best friend.
Yeah, fuck, man. That was like, if you're in a hard place, I couldn't think of a better delivery for someone to hear, to help step by step lead them out of the rut. You know what I mean? I think from someone that has been there and to see where you are today is like that piece of wisdom that you've shared there is just phenomenal. So thank you for sharing that with everyone. Hey.
Oh, of course, man.
Man, yeah,
You've been in that place as well?
I haven't. I've been fortunate enough to maintain a pretty healthy mindset throughout. The only time possibly where I've had a negative mindset is in comparison.
Yeah.
And that's me putting myself, not having compassion and respect for where I'm at within my life, thinking that I deserve better.
Yeah.
And the thinking I deserve better is probably, it could be a good motivator to be like, okay, well, I'm going to get after it then. But I'm not going to hold the judgment, or I'm not going to hold the negativity negative energy towards someone else for that is succeeding and doing better, because that's only going to push me further away from acquiring it myself. So yeah, becoming aware of like the negative energy that are even in the thoughts that I'm casting out to others. It's like, well, then the mirror shining back is I am inadvertently, allowing myself to receive it back, or expecting to receive it back.
Yeah.
So that's that's the only sort of thing that I can say has been like supremely hard for me, where I haven't, fortunately. But I have tremendous respect for people such as yourself that have been there and can now sit in front of me, and now I can look at you and go, fuck, like, epic dude, amazing mindset, beautiful soul, and, heart that fucking radiates just pure positivity and love.
Back at you, brother.
There's the mirror again. But I've got a couple of like final kind of fast five, I've called them to wrap up sort of questions, or what
Drop
you want to
on one more. Yeah.
Drop one more.
I think this is
Yep.
really helpful.
Yeah,
for
let's
a
do
lot
it.
of people. If it scares you and excites you, do it. Fear and uncertainty are often signs you're on the right path. And I think
Is this yours? You've curated this yourself. These are your
if it scares
reflections.
you and excites you, do it, came from an external source, but fear and uncertainty are often signs you're on the right path.
Yeah.
Is something that I've felt and resonated with and incorporated into that line.
Yeah.
Because we all have that feeling of like, oh fuck, like I don't want to do that, or that is confronting and terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually, if you look at that as messaging, indicating that is where you have to go and should go.
Yeah.
There's gold there. There's value and there's treasure there.
Yeah.
So do it.
It relates, it ties for me to the quote, it's where there is fear, there is your challenge.
Yeah.
And it's, you bridge, you overcome, you get to the other side of that challenge, and you've just upgraded yourself because that fear no longer resides within you. You are no longer afraid of that thing. On the opposite, side of being afraid is like pride.
Yeah.
Pride.
Yeah. So much juicy value, man.
Yeah, the feeling of pride, self-pride, of having love and just, I can't think of anything outside of love for yourself, like just to have that feeling of love for yourself is like, fuck, that is probably the most abundant sort of mindset you can be in, is like ultimate love for yourself.
Yeah. This is the most rewarding thing human can experience.
Yeah.
If you go towards something that you feel confronted by, there's only ever going to be value on the other side of it.
Yeah. That is your next upgrade. That is your self-development. Yeah.
And that can come in the form of a new job, going and trying something new, confronting even just communicating with someone. Maybe you got a crush and you got something, you got someone that you have interest in. Does that excite you? Is that scary? Is that confronting? Oh, fuck. Just do it. Go and talk to her.
Lean into that,
or him.
Yeah.
If you haven't trained in a while, for example, again, it like excites me wanting to get in shape and get fit, but it's fearful. It's scary. Do it. It's, I've always wanted to do this. Oh, that excites me. Oh, it scares me. Do it. So sometimes that's all we need to hear is just go and literally just do the thing that you feel pulled to do. And if it scares you and it excites you, then that's all the more reason that you should do it.
Yeah, I think in those points where it's like you go, I've got to do it, then use the Mel Robbins technique, count back from 5, because otherwise the more time you linger in the thinking of doing it, but what if, the what if,
Talk yourself
the
out
doubt, fuck that off. You just got to lean into it. You'll find out one way or another.
Yeah.
And you may as well find out by doing the thing.
Yeah. And that's also like if you're in a dark place, if you're challenged, if you're a little bit lost, if there's confliction there, or, you want some change, think about what scares you and excites you. And it's just doing it, whether you feel like it or not.
For sure.
Yeah.
Leaning into the excitement side of it.
Yeah.
Prefer to, like, you know, taking the
Yeah.
more positive route
Yeah.
would be the excitement.
Yeah.
And that'll get you there.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Let's do the fast five, bro.
Let's go.
These are going to be subconscious questioning, so I'm looking for speed here, and
Yeah.
this will ultimately bring through with your truth. I feel.
Couple of words. How do you want a sentence or just a couple of words?
Let's see how it goes.
Okay.
What are the mental patterns that used to sabotage you the most?
Comparison. Doubt. Disconnection.
Nice, beautiful answers. Hardest truth you've ever had to accept?
Nothing is permanent. Everything is finite. We're all gone already.
Yeah,
Nothing to lose.
nothing to lose, brother. Love it. What's something you're still working on within yourself?
I still am like everyone else, living in alignment. Saying yes and no to the right things is a daily challenge. I still find myself sometimes not showing up as best as I can in certain elements,
Yeah,
but that's okay
but that's okay.
because the journey is the pursuit of evolution is ever ending, and we got to enjoy that.
Yeah, beautiful, man. That self-forgiveness piece, eh? Like,
Yeah.
that's okay. I
Yeah.
think that's so good.
Yeah.
If you lost everything today, how would you rebuild yourself?
Community. I would find the people that are going to support me in rebuilding myself, and I would take as much pressure off myself as possible, and I would remind myself that he who has nothing to lose and is the most dangerous because of that fact.
Oh, fuck, that's gold. Oh, I love that. Fifth and final question, brother. What's your message to the man listening who's at rock bottom right now?
Ties into what we were talking about. Find your community and muster up every inch of energy and courage that you have to immerse yourself in that space and have faith.
Thanks for sharing, brother. I fucking love that. Look, we've got an epic retreat coming up that we've got planned with you. Ferg's going to be our tour guide, so if you're listening from wherever you are, we're opening up positions of 20 spaces. The initial first release will go to Brotherhood members, so whoever capitalises on the opportunity to join us from October the 17th to October 25th, 9-day excursion, adventure retreat. It will go priority with the members, and then what is left available will go to the public. So if you're a listener outside of the immediate community, then there could be one of these spots coming available to you. Should we leak one of the activities?
Absolutely, mate. I know the activity you're thinking about.
Do you want to do us the honours, please, sir?
Well, sir, this is your show. Drop it like it's hot. Let's go.
So one of the activities that we'll be doing on day 4, which is will be guided with Ferg, is we're climbing the tallest volcano in Bali. Do you remember the name of it?
Mount Ugun.
Mount Ugun, and it is
Basically, Mount Doom.
Mount Doom.
It's an active volcano. It's basically we're the Fellowship going into Mordor together.
It's exactly like that. So 20 blokes plus Ferg and myself and possibly a couple of others helping that venture. Yeah, it'll require a lot of fitness. It's 3,100 metres of elevation. Mount Kosciuszko back in Australia is the tallest mountain there, and that stands at about 2,100 metres. So this has got an extra 1,000 metres of elevation. You've climbed something of 5,000, was it, or 4,000?
Yeah, it was just over 4,000.
Yep.
Mount Rinjani, which is I believe it's the second highest mountain in Indonesia, and it's similar in difficulty, and I can tell you it was pretty damn hard.
Yeah.
But my God, it was empowering at the top.
I bet.
And I found elements of myself on that hike, man. There's something about hiking to the top of a volcano that is just so incredibly rewarding and empowering. You know, you don't just get a good view at the top. Like there's more to it. There's a lot of depth to the reward that comes out of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's going to be pretty spicy, challenging, enduring, and powerful.
Yeah.
And we're going to embody a lot of what we've talked about today, like unity, pursuing challenge, and embracing resistance. So yeah, that's day 4. I think we've locked that in.
Yeah.
And then we've got some pretty epic activities before and especially after that trip that we'll keep hush hush.
Yeah, I can just see after climbing that, you know, the fulfillment and the sense of pride within everyone as we, you know, descend from the mountain and then go into the rest of the trip. It's just going to be amazing. So, and I know we've got so much more lined up value to deliver everyone that comes on board for this. So, yeah, we will be releasing and announcing those tickets for sale shortly, but this has been an awesome opportunity for everyone to get to know you, for, you know, you to share the vulnerability and the strength in that of who you are and what has made you the man that sits opposite this table to me today. And yeah, I can't thank you enough for letting people in on that and sharing your story, and fucking super grateful and love you, bro.
Oh, I love you too, brother. Man, I was going to say, like, traveling and just getting out of your bubble is something that I just want to add that is just so valuable to anyone.
That could be the fear in itself. Yeah. Just getting outside of little Australia, little New Zealand, whatever it is.
Massive, you know. And for me, like, when I was in the, just want to add this on, like when I was in that challenging period, I convinced myself that traveling was way too much. You know, I wasn't capable of traveling somewhere by myself, and I went to Canada by myself, and it was one of the most, I actually went to New Zealand first. And then I did a Kentucky tour around New Zealand, and then I went to Canada, and like those trips were life-changing, man. Like getting out of my bubble, meeting new people, being in a new environment, doing something challenging, absolutely life-changing, you know. So if you haven't been out of your bubble in a while, it can only do you good. It can only elevate your character and your energy, you know, and especially doing it with an epic group of boys. So that is certainly going to be a lifetime memory for anyone who comes on that trip.
100%.
Experiences over possessions.
Oh, experiences over possessions. That is the name of this fucking episode. Thanks for tuning in, fam. Yeah, look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thanks once again to Ferg, and we'll see you in October.
See you later, lads.
Choo!